Good afternoon. Hello to everyone who is watching on Facebook as well as Instagram. I am welcome to Mindset Mondays. And if you've been following me, you will know that Mindset Mondays is a day where I can sit with you and I can talk with you about a lot of the excuses that we have for not beginning our writing journey. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Indiana Tuggle. I am an author, I am a speaker, and I am a writing coach. And I am also the CEO and founder of Victory Publishing Company, which is a company that I started back in 2011 when I began to publish my own books. But this year I'm branching out and I'm beginning to publish for other authors as well as help those who are aspiring to write to actually write their story. And the type of stories that I want to help people write are those who have a testimony to share, those who have been through traumatic experiences, those who have experienced the miraculous hand of God on their lives, and they are ready to share those stories. So I help those who have stories like that find their voice and actually turn their testimony into a book. So we're going to get started tonight on another live of Mindset Mondays. And I've really been enjoying these because Mindset Mondays is started back from many of the questions that I got from some of my clients, some of them in my inbox, and just people that I pay attention to around basically the social media world. I kind of, when I see people talk about writing, I kind of jot down some of the things that they ask, some of the questions that they ask, some of the concerns, and also some of their fears. And tonight, one of those topics is one that I've touched on a little bit. I think I gave a brief 1-minute video about finding the time to write. So tonight we're going to delve in it a little bit deeper. And if you know me, if you've been following me, you will know that I kind of get in your stuff. So I'm not going to let you waddle in your excuses. I'm not going to justify your excuses because all of the questions that we have, it is an excuse. And I don't want to also I don't want you to think that I am not being mindful of the things that you're going through and the things that you're pondering in your mind, because I am. But I'm coming from a place of understanding as well as compassion as well, because I do understand what you're going through. And I do understand the struggle that you're dealing with in your mind to actually get this book off, because this is something new for you. This is something that you haven't done before. Or if you have written a book before, maybe this is a book that you're sharing a intimate part of your life, or you're sharing your testimony for the first time. So you're nervous, you're scared, you're fearful, and I certainly understand that because I went through that myself, so I definitely understand it. But I also want to be that voice in your head that's pushing you to let you know that you really can do it, and it really is possible, and it really is an attack. Really, it's an attack from the enemy. And we're going to get in that tonight. And tonight we're talking about how do you find the time to write. And when I made the post today on Facebook, I kind of made a joke of it because I was saying that many of us are waiting on God to extend the hours in our day so that we can have the time to write. And we know that that's not going to happen. We know that that's not possible. So when we say, how do we find the time to write? I have to ask you a few questions first before I get into a lot of the things that I went through in order to find the time to write. So the first question that I have to ask is, do you really want to write the book? Because honestly, as a writer, I'm on book 4. I know many writers who have a lot more books than that. None of us really have the time to write. And that's absolutely the truth. We don't have the time to write. We have jobs. We have kids. We have things that come up. We have things that we want to do. Life happens to us all. So we don't have this miraculous amount of extra time that you think we have. The difference is we have just made writing a priority in our life. So That's what I'm really asking you. Do you really want to write? Because we know the cliche. The cliche is you make time for what you want. So do you want it? Do you want to see this book come to fruition? Do you want to see your story impacting nations? Do you want to see people being healed, delivered, and set free from your story? Do you want it? And do you believe that it is possible? Because if you don't, we can stop now. Because nothing that I say and nothing I can do can make you want it. So you have to want it in yourself in order to make it happen. And the second question I have to ask is, are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to make the sacrifice to have what you say you want? And that means the two most important things that you're going to have to sacrifice is your time and your sleep. So are you willing to give it up? And the Bible tells us that anything that we give up for the call of God, he's going to repay it for us. You're not going to outdo God. So anything that you sacrifice and anything that you give up to pursue what he called you to do, to complete your assignment, he's going to make it happen for you. And another thing is, many, many times we wait on our circumstances to get easier so that we can accomplish what God called us to do. And it's not going to happen. I mentioned on last week, you accepting your call to write is an assignment from God. If you think the enemy is going to let you just have it all easy, and it's going to be a walk in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, you got another thing coming. He is going to fight you every step of the way. And remember, you guys, please be sure to share the broadcast on Instagram. Please be sure. I don't think you guys can share on Instagram, where you guys can make sure you leave your comments so that I know that you're here and I know that you're listening. Because I can see you logging in, but I can't see anything else. So you're going to have to comment so that I'll know that you're here. Say hello, say hi. Let me know that you're what I'm saying is resonating with you. And the third question I have to ask you is, are you ready to end the excuses? Because once you begin to see it as that, once you begin to see that every question that you have in your head is an excuse. And bottom line, God is not going to pause time, and he is not going to add more time to the day. So you have to make the time. That's the whole point, is you have to make time for what you want. And like I said earlier, you have to make writing a priority. I was listening to a TED Talk the other day, and I can't remember the woman's name, but she was talking about time management. She's a time management specialist. And the one thing that she often tells people is we have to treat the things that we want to do like it's an emergency. When an emergency happens in our lives, we rearrange whatever we have to do to take care of it. It don't matter, because emergency does not schedule on time on your calendar. So when something happens, you just got to flip switch and say, oh, I got to get it done. Prime example today, my plumbing backed up. It was absolutely nothing I could do. When I finished getting dressed, I called my landlord. I called the plumber. I said, okay, this is what's happening. When you going to send somebody? He was like, I'm on the phone, and I'll call you when he's on the way. It was absolutely nothing that I could do, but I still had to pause for that minute, for an extra 10 minutes, so that I can get on the phone and make those calls and do what I needed to do. Did it mean that I was going to be late for work? Yep, I was late for work. But guess what? I had to sacrifice those few minutes of time to handle that emergency situation. And that's how we have to treat our writing. We have to treat it like it's an emergency situation. Like if we don't handle it right then and there, then something is going to happen. So as we begin to get into how to make time to write, I want you to think about those three things. Think about how bad you really want it. And that is when we're going to be talking about your why. You have to find your why in order to start a new project. And that's with any goals that you have in your life. If you don't have a why that is important to you, a why it needs to be done, and what's going to happen if you don't, what's going to happen if you do, you have to have those things in place. Otherwise, when something happens, you're going to give up. And that's the truth of the matter is, so anytime you're trying to set a goal in your life, whether it be to write, whether it be to go back to school, whether it be to start your own business, you have to be able to have that why, because your why is what's going to keep you motivated. Your why is what's going to keep you going. And your why is what's going to make you keep coming back, even if something does pause you for a second. Because like I said last week, things are going to make you pause. I mean, that's normal. That's life. Things happen. People die. People get sick. Emergency situations happen that you have to take care of. But it shouldn't stop you. Pause for a second. Gather yourself. Cry, scream, shout, whatever you have to do. But then you're supposed to get back on track. Okay? I remember telling you guys about the storm that I went through with losing my job, my house, and my mom. I had to pause, gather myself, and then I had to get back on track. And I even wrote through the storm. So a lot of times what you're running from is what you need to make it through. Okay. So let's get to what we really want to talk about on tonight. And that is, how do you really find the time to write? Because bottom line, in the end, you still got to find the time. You still have to make room for what you want to happen. You have to make room. And you have to treat this, think of it as a relationship. If you say you want a new relationship in your life, okay, and you've been single, you've been independent, you've been doing your own thing for the longest, you've been filling up your time with work and whatever other activities or whatever. But when you say you want someone special in your life, you have to carve out time for that person, because what? That person is going to require quality time, correct? So when you think of your writing as a new relationship, it requires your quality time in order for it to be a quality book. In order for the book to come about, in order for the pages to get written, you need the time. It requires quality time. A lot of people say, well, I'm just going to find somebody to write the book for me. Even if somebody writes the book for you, you are still going to have to spend time with that person so that they can gather what they need to put in the book, because you can't send it to them telepathically. You're going to have some meetings. Y'all going to have some conversations. And guess what? You got to schedule those meetings. So you might as well write it yourself. And then if budget is a thing, then you are going to have to consider your budget. Can you really afford to pay somebody to write the book for you? Okay. So how do you find the time the time to write? The first thing you really have to do is you have to analyze your time. And one quote that I love from Miles Monroe, he says, "Who you are and who you become is all dependent upon how you use your time and how you spend your time." So time is very, very, very important. So the first thing you have to do is you have to analyze your time. And what I do is with my coaching clients, what I have them to do is the first week, I give them a daily activity sheet. And this is something that you can find anywhere on the internet. Just Google daily activity sheet and you will find it. But this is or you can create you one, or if you have a planner, one of those daily planners that have all of the time, the hours of the day listed out, like from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or however the time is set up, it has all of that listed out, okay? So I give my clients a daily activity sheet. And I tell them, I said, track your time every day for a week. And the reason I say a week is because when you have somebody track their time, for the first 2 days, they're going to try to be good. They're going to try to alter it. Oh, I'm going to be good. I ain't going to do nothing bad. And I'm going to do this and that. Okay, but you do it for a whole week, you're going to get back to yourself. Within at least 2 days, you're going to get back to your normal routine. Okay, so analyze your time for a whole week. and write down everything that you are doing within those set time frames. Okay. And at the end of the week, then you're going to go back and you're going to look at your time. And now we're going to go through the four areas of your time that I want you to really pay attention to, because these are the areas in which that you can actually find the time to write. Right? And the first thing you have to look at is wasted time. How much time are you wasting watching TV, on social media, or even playing video games? Look, we have our scheduled shows that we watch every week. I know I do. I'm a power fanatic. I'm a power and the haves and the have-nots and my Greenleaf. And now on has this new show called Love Is. I watch all of them. But guess what? Indiana records all of them too, because I have to have a set time to work on my business goals and also write these books that I'm putting out. Okay, so take a look at time that you're wasting. Look on those activities that are mindless. They're not bringing you in no money. They're not doing anything for your family. So can you sacrifice one of those time slots? Can you sacrifice an hour? Can you skip a scheduled show that you normally watch and watch it later? Okay, so think of things like that. Look at your wasted time, because we waste a lot of time. And a lot of times when you waste so much time, that gets into your creativity as well. That's probably why you can't write, because you're so distracted. You're so distracted by everything that you're watching on TV, everything that's going on at work, everything that's going on at home. You're distracted by all of this. So therefore your creativity is blocked. Okay. And the second area I want you to look at regarding your time is borrowed time. And by borrowed time, I mean time that you're spending. Maybe you had a doctor's appointment and you're sitting in a waiting room for 30 to 40 minutes. Because I know my doctor don't never come out at the scheduled time. It's usually 30 to 45 minutes later that I get back to his office. So guess what I'm doing in that 30 to 45 minutes? Guess what y'all doing in that 30 to 45 minutes? Scrolling on Facebook. That's what we're doing while we're sitting there. Or some of us may be reading a book on our little Kindle app or something like that. But it didn't matter. You got your face in the phone while you're sitting there waiting. And then look at time that on your lunch break at work. What are you doing on your lunch break at work? Do you spend every day on your lunch break taking care of business? No, 9 times out of 10, you eating somewhere with somebody. Or you are sitting at your desk doing nothing, on the internet shopping, like I used to do sometime. I'd be on the internet shopping while I'm on my lunch break. Well, can you spend that time writing? And then look at borrowed time when you have to take your children to their after-school activities. Can you write while your son is at the baseball game? Can you write while your daughter is at cheerleading practice? Things like that. So, and when you're thinking about borrowed time, you're going to have to keep a pen and paper with you always. There's one thing that I keep all the time. I have a journal with me everywhere I go, and another thing, if you have a tablet, oh, come on now, you can type on that tablet, you can get it going. Or if you can't type, just one finger pad, you better get you a keyboard to go with that tablet and have it with you, because they got Bluetooth keyboards everywhere. You can be typing on that tablet. And if you have Google Drive, type your book on Google Drive so it's with you everywhere you go. Okay, Google Drive is your friend. All you need to do is to be able to type, okay, or be able to write. And when you're doing this on borrowed time, it doesn't mean that you have to sit down and you're writing whole paragraphs and whole chapters. You don't have to, but you need to be open to be able to hear the Holy Spirit when he's talking to you. So you might have to jot down ideas. You might have to jot down something that crosses your mind, because if you're like me, Writing don't never happen when you want it to happen. The inspiration never comes when you want it to come. So you have to get into that mindset of writing it down when it does come, so that when you get ready to pick it up later at the scheduled time, then it won't be hard to find something to write, or it won't be hard to get started writing. So we're looking at our wasted time, we're looking at our borrowed time, and then number 3, we're looking at our adjusted or our sacrifice time. And this is the time that you actually sacrifice. This is time sleep. Can you get up early, or can you go to bed late? Ask yourself that question. Can I get up early, or can I go to bed late so that I can write my book? That's sacrifice time. Or even look at the time that you spend on your activities with your friends and your family. Can you miss a movie one weekend? Can you miss girls' night out? Okay. Can you miss your normal? I know for me, I go out to eat after church every Sunday. Can I miss that? If that's the only time I've set aside for writing, can I miss it? Okay. So think about things like that, things that are not incremental activities that you can sacrifice so that you can write. Yes, your friends and your family are going to be upset after a while or in a minute, and you're not going to do it every time, because the key is to get in the habit of writing so that you will want to make time for it. Because right now you haven't established a habit. Okay, you haven't established a priority. So therefore, it's a struggle for you to get it out. It's a struggle for you to sit down and write every day, because it's not something that you're used to. And you're going to constantly rebel against it until you force yourself to do it. So we've looked at our wasted time, we looked at our borrowed time, we looked at our adjusted time. And then the last thing that you're going to do is your scheduled time. And this is where you just have to point blank period, schedule it on your calendar. Just schedule it on your calendar like you do everything else every week, and stick to it. And when you're scheduling time on your calendar, think about the time that you have the least amount of excuses. I'm at a point to where now I'm starting to place my health as a priority in my life. So I need to make some changes, meaning I need to start eating right. And that part of that is I need to start cooking. So, and then another thing is I have to exercise. So I had to sit down and I had to really look at my schedule, and I had to really look at myself and say, when is the best time for you to be able to exercise that you won't have an excuse, or that your excuses are so small that you can't even justify it. Okay, because one of my excuses was I be sleepy, I don't feel like getting up in the morning. Okay, and then the other excuse was, well, in the evening I'm working on my business, so I can't do it then. So either you're gonna sacrifice your sleep and you're gonna get up early, or you're gonna set some standards in your business and have some regular hours, and you're gonna get it done in the evening. Okay, so which one? You have to think about what time frame is going to allow you to get this done with the least amount of excuses, because you're going to have to get it in your mind. You're going to have to tell yourself that I have to quit making excuses. And that's exactly what it is. It is an excuse. So when are you going to begin to say, my writing, this book, God's assignment, it deserves priority treatment in my life? And when you do that, you're going to have the time to write, because it's not going to miraculously appear out of thin air. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to make time to write. Okay, you're going to have to force yourself to sit down and do it, and you're going to have to consistently do it. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to mess up. Yes, you're going to mess up. It doesn't mean that when you sit down to write that the words are just going to flow. No, you're not. No, not going to happen. You're going to have to create the atmosphere then. And how do you create the atmosphere? Whatever you need to usher in the Holy Spirit as you write, you need to do what you need to do. And for me, sometimes that may be praying. I might have to go into prayer. I might have to go into worship, listening to some music. Those two things really, really will normally get my juices flowing. Or I'll just read some of what I wrote previously, and not a whole chapter. I might read the last 3 pages of what I wrote to kind of get back into my mindset of where I left off. So once you find the time and once you analyze your time, you really have no other excuse, because I guarantee if you analyze your time correctly, you will uncover a lot of time that you really have, because you really do have a lot of time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So again, as Miles Monroe said, who you are and who you become is dependent upon how you use your time. So are you willing to use your time wisely to become the author that you want to be? And that's the bottom line. Are you willing to effectively manage your time to become the author that you want to become? Are you willing to sacrifice the time that you need to get this book written, to finally publish that book that you've been putting off? Some of you have been putting this book off for years. I mean, years. Because you are afraid. What are you afraid of? Ask yourself that. What are you afraid of? Okay. And if you still are having some type of issues, you're still having problems figuring out where to start, you're still having problems and you're still experiencing writer's block, and you need some advice on how to get your confidence back and how to really start back on that writing path, then schedule your Jumpstart session with me. It's a free 30-minute session, and we sit down and we talk about what has you stuck. And I kind of give you some encouragement. I give you about 2 to 3 tips to really get you started and get you back on the right track. Okay. And it's only a 30-minute session. I'm not going to spend no whole hour with you trying to write out your whole book. But I want to give you a jump start so that you can get started and get back on track, because you promised yourself that you were going to finish this book in 2018. You probably promised yourself 5 years ago that you was going to finish it, but it's 2018 and another year, and we are halfway through another year. So you have 6 months to get this book done. And it can be done if you focus, if you're willing to sacrifice, if you're willing to stop, to end the excuses. It can definitely be done. I've done it. I'm doing it. So it can be done. And the link to schedule your Jumpstart session is bit.ly, and I'm going to type it on the screen for those of you who are on Facebook. bit.ly / Jumpstart with Indiana. Okay, and I'll type the link in on Instagram. I don't want you guys to be looking in up my nose, but I'll type it in for you. But I'm here to really help you, and it can be done, but I can't do it for you. You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to stop with the excuses. You have to be willing to take control, because you have the control. You can definitely get this done. It's not as hard as you think. You're making it harder by constantly putting it off. You're making it harder by constantly putting pressure on yourself to get it done quickly. Because bottom line, can it be done in 6 months? Yes. Can it be done in 90 days? Yes. It can be done if you sit down and do the work, but don't stress yourself out about it if you haven't done it before. Everything is harder the first time around. Everything is. Now, as I write, I can push out a book in 90 days, 6 months, a year. It all depends. on my focus. But I still don't put that kind of pressure on me. I still give myself 6 months to write. And then I give myself another month to publish. So it's about quality. I love quality over quantity. I'm not trying to rush and put anything out there, because remember, this is about God. This is about the God that I serve. This is about his word going forth in the earth. So I want it to be right, but at the same time, I don't want to delay it either. So you have to ask yourself, are you really ready to get it done? Because you keep allowing your excuses to hinder you. Because that's exactly what it is. Time waits for nobody. Are you going to be, why is this book important to you? What's going to happen if, hi Dana, how are you? Inbox me, girl. Because you got a lot going on there. And what is it that you need to do to get this thing done? If you need help, ask for help. And if you don't have the finances, then get the finances, because you're going to need it. It can't be done for free, you guys. It's not going to be done free. The coaching is not going to be free. You can't even publish it for free. I mean, you can publish it for free on Amazon, but anywhere else you go other than Amazon, it's going to cost you some coins. And actually the publishing part, which is just making your book available on various platforms, that can be done minimal. You can get that done for free, because a lot of places that I upload to are free, and some of them offer coupons, but the preparation is not free. And we're going to talk about that on another Monday. We're going to talk about exactly how much does it cost to publish your book. Hey Tamikia, how are you? And I would love to help you. So please be sure to inbox me tonight, okay? So either inbox me or click on the link and we can get on the call and we can talk about it, okay? And Dana, you know how to get in touch with me. And I'm talking to Dana. She's come to one of my workshops before, so she kind of know how I roll. So and it's really, really, really about committing to yourself, because you're not just committing to God. It's more important to commit to God, but you have to commit to the process to yourself. You have to believe that you can actually get this thing done, you guys. And I misspelled the link on Instagram, you all. It's JUMPSTART with Indiana. Okay. And I have a lot of things out there to help you get started. You can look on my page. You can look up these Mindset Mondays to get you some tips to get you started. But the one thing I cannot do is I cannot take over your body and write it for you. I really cannot. You really, really, really have to learn how to motivate yourself. And you really, really have to learn how to catch the momentum when it comes. Really, because sometimes I've had a couple of Jumpstart sessions with women, and we are doing great progress while I'm talking to them, and then I follow up with them 2 days later, and I'm like, "Have you started right?" No. Well, what happened? You was just excited, So you have to catch that moment. I would have got out that call and I would have got in front of that computer and would have been like, clack, 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 everything I said, So you have to catch it when it comes, you guys, because guess what? It's kind of just like when you leave church. You be all hype, you be done sung, shout, dance, and run all around the room. But as soon as you hit that parking lot, somebody call you and something doesn't happen and it's gone. But you have to stay motivated. You have to keep yourself motivated, in order to get it done. It absolutely can be done. And I want to help you get it done. Okay. And what is it like to work with me? I basically help you craft your story. As a coach, I help you craft your story. I help you outline your story. And part of crafting your story is really identifying who you're talking to. Because you need to know who you're talking to in order to write the story, right? You need to know what problem you're addressing in order to write the story, right? So I help you identify who you're talking to and what problem you're solving. And then I help you identify the ways in which you want to solve it. Do you want to teach them something? Do you want to inspire them? Do you want to entertain them? We go through that, and then we actually write it out. And I hold you accountable. You have writing assignments and you have to submit your writing every week. That's what it's like to work with me. And then, so coming up in September, I'm going to have my first group writing program coming out to help you get your book written and published before 2019. 2019. So if you want to be an author before the new year, you want to celebrate the new year with a new book, that's going to be the program for you. It's the Birth Your Own Book Challenge. Okay. So there are multiple ways you can work with me. You can work with me one-on-one. You can work with me in a group. You can just get you a couple of tips on the Jumpstart Session. You can do that. But in any fashion, I can help you get the book started, but I cannot do it for you. No coach can do it for you. You have to have that personal motivation. And I can even help you uncover your why. Why do you want it to happen? Why is this book important to you? Just because somebody told you should write a book, that ain't going to work. It hasn't worked. Because if it had worked, you would have been and wrote the book by now. Okay, so you have to find your why. You have to uncover the greatness that God said is going to be in your book, and you have to believe it. You really do. You have to believe it. If I didn't believe everything that God said he was going to do in me and through me with my books, with my business endeavors, with my teaching, I wouldn't be here. I would still be holding on to book number 1. My first book took me 3 years. 2 years I was questioning. 2 years, the first 2 years I was having all these questions that y'all answer now. All of these questions that are filled up on Mindset Monday are questions that I had myself and questions that I know y'all still got. So I understand. I know where it's coming from, and it's coming from fear, and it's coming from the enemy. The enemy is making you question who you are. The enemy is making you question the God that gave you the assignment. That's what it's about. I told you earlier in this broadcast that if writing is your assignment, if writing is your kingdom assignment, and that's what God has told you to do, the enemy not going to let you have it. Not without a fight. Because the enemy know who you are. You just don't know who you are. That's the problem. You don't understand who you are. You don't understand the power of what you have been through. You don't think your story will help anybody. You don't think what God brought you through was miraculous. You don't understand that you are a walking miracle. You don't understand that. You don't understand the people that are attached to you waiting for you. You don't understand it. And you do not understand that you don't have all this time you think you have. Seed time and harvest. Everything has its own season, has its time and has its season. If you miss your season, it may not come around again. Or you may have to work. A lot of times we make things hard because we miss our season. And we procrastinate. Yeah, God told you to write the book 3 years ago, but because you didn't write it 3 years ago and you waited 5 years to get started, guess what? All those people that he had lined up waiting for you 3 years ago, he got to get them prepared again. Or he got to put it on the hearts of new people because you was disobedient. Because he found somebody else to meet their need. So now he has to send somebody else to you. So because God is not going to delay his deliverance for his people because of your disobedience. He's not going to do that. So the people that were attached to you 3 years ago, he sent somebody else to help them. And trust me and believe me, if you have your title of your book, you will look up on Amazon and see somebody else's name on your book. Trust me, I've seen it happen. And it won't be because somebody stole your idea off Facebook. No, the Holy Spirit done gave your idea to somebody else. Because remember, there's nothing that overtakes us that's not common to man. Somebody out there has been through something similar. So God can raise up somebody else. Don't think that it can't. So don't think that you have all the time in the world. Don't think that what God has for me is for me. Sure is. But if me don't get busy, me gonna miss it. You can hinder your own blessings. Nobody else can, but you can. And how do we hinder our blessings? By procrastinating. That's how we do it. We have to learn to hear the voice of God and move expediently. Because when he tells us to do something, it's for now. He's a now God. It's not for, well, in 10 years, I want you to write a book. Why would he give it to you then and now? Because God is a God of order. He gives us one step at a time. He doesn't give us the full plan. So if you're waiting to know the full plan, which I said before, is because you're looking for the results. You want to know what's going to happen when I write it. Is it going to be a bestseller? How many is it going to sell? You want to know all that. And you hadn't even wrote one word on the paper. None of that can happen if you don't write. Okay. So you're allowing all of that to hinder you from what God has for you, one step at a time. He may give you an overall picture. He gave me an overall picture of what my books are going to do, but I still don't know the full details. I still don't know when it's going to happen. I really don't. But what I do know is it don't take God long to do nothing. It may seem like it's long for us, but remember, one day is like a millisecond, probably not even a millisecond to God, because he is time. And once you get busy, you will find out how much time you have. Writing is kind of like when you're in prayer. You might tell yourself, I'm going to pray for 15 minutes. And then when you get through praying, you go look at the clock and an hour done passed by. That's what writing is, because writing is your worship to God. Okay. But that's all that I have. If you have any questions, be sure to type your questions in the box, and I will come back and I will answer them. If you don't feel comfortable typing your question in the comment, then feel free to inbox me or feel free to email me at info@victorypublishing.com. Victory Publishing Company, Victory Publishing Co. I keep forgetting to say co instead of company. And I will be happy to answer any of the questions, that you may have. And you can inbox me as well. Now, I'm not going to answer 15, 20 questions now. We're not going to do that, okay? Because I have a book writing strategy session in which you can sit down with me and we can actually outline your book from start to finish, and I can give you tips on how to write each chapter. That is a book writing strategy session, and that is $199. Okay, so if you're looking for a whole strategy session where we're going to sit down and outline and discuss your entire book, you might want to book that because I'm not going to give you everything you need in your inbox or on a Jumpstart session. It's not going to happen. Okay. So please reach out to me if you need some help, you guys. I'm here to help you. And I'm here to assist you on this journey because I want you to get your book published. I want you to do great because I believe that God has great things for you for that book. But you have to believe it. I can't do anything if you don't believe it. Okay? So you have to believe it for yourself. So I want you to pray tonight and ask God to open your spiritual eyes so that you can see the purpose for the book that he's given you. So that he can reveal to you your assignment, give you clarity in your assignment. And he'll do it for you. He did it for me, so I know he'll do it for you. Okay? So that you can understand the depth of your calling. So you can really find out your why. So you can really determine whether or not this book is important for you. Because you have to make it a priority in order to find the time. And so just to recap for those that are joining on the end, the way in which you find the time to write is the first thing you have to do is analyze your time. It means you have to write down everything you're doing every hour of the day for at least 5 days. When you write down that, after you analyze your time for 5 days, then you're going to go back and you're going to look for these 4 areas of time. And the first one is wasted time, which is time that you waste watching TV, on social media, or even playing video games. Then you're going to look for borrowed time, which is time that you spent maybe at the doctor's appointment, on your lunch break, doing a child's activity that you could possibly use for writing. Number 3 is adjusted or sacrifice time. This is time that you will have to sacrifice. Can you get up an hour early or go to bed an hour late so that you can get your writing in, or even sacrificing activities with friends and families? Can you miss girls' night out or boys' night out? Okay. And then the last area of time is scheduled time. You're just going to have to sit down and schedule it on your calendar. And schedule it for a time in which that you will be able to, that you have the least amount of excuses. Okay. And then stick to it. You have to stick to that time. Okay. So that's all that I have on tonight. Be sure again to reach out to me if you have any questions or if you have any concerns about your writing. We can definitely get on a session. We can schedule a session. And remember, this is a business. If you want a session, schedule a session. Don't inbox me all night, you guys, okay? Because I work during the day, my office hours are generally at night, and that's like 6 to 9 p.m. I keep it, within a tight schedule because I have to have boundaries and schedules as well. So I'm done for the night. After this broadcast, I will be done for the night. So you will have to schedule time with me for the remainder of the week in any manner in which it fits your schedule as well. And I will be happy to get on a call with you, but book the call. Okay, on the calendar. That's why you have the link. That's why you have the email address. And you can get it that way. If you inbox me, I'll send you the link. If you message me on Instagram, I will send you the link to get on the call to discuss your book. Hi, Latara, how are you? And so I'm just now finishing up, you guys. So thank you all so much for joining. Remember to please share the broadcast with your friends and on your timeline. These will be up probably on YouTube sometime by the end of the week, because I'm loading them all up on the Victory Publishing channel, so that they will be out there and available for you guys to come and watch and listen to as you continue your journey, because you're going to need some motivation along the way, as you go. But you need to get started. The number one thing you have to do is to get started. Nothing else matters. Nothing matters unless you write the book. Absolutely nothing. You have to write the book. You have to get it written. After that, you will have more confidence to get everything else that you need to done. You'll be ready to edit. You'll be ready to publish. You'll be ready to talk about your story. You will be ready once you get it done. So this is the first step. You have to take the first step. Okay. And through your obedience, God will open doors for you. I am a living witness. So thank you all again for joining me. Thank you all again for your time. Thank you for sharing the broadcast. For those of you who are going to be watching the replay, be sure to leave me your questions and your comments, and I will definitely come back and answer them for you. So if there are no questions for me, I am going to be out, because I am going to do what I said I was going to do, which is I'm going to get my walk in on this treadmill for 30 minutes before I go to sleep. So good night and happy Monday.